Hello everyone, I hope everybody is fine. As I've already simplified some of the important terms related to circulatory system, so I hope that now you're less horrified of the big and difficult terms. Let us further simplify the blood vessels. As we're familiar with the blood vessels, the main blood vessels are artery, vein, and of course the capillaries. Let's look at them one by one. Artery, vessel which carries blood away from the heart towards any organ. Right? So here the keyword here is away. Now I understand in most of the books it is defined as the vessel that carries oxygenated or oxygen rich blood. Right? But I want you to refer to this above definition. That means artery is the vessel which carries blood away from the heart. So if the blood is coming away from the heart and going to the organ, naturally it has to be oxygenated or oxygen rich. Now we have pulmonary artery, that is said to be exception to artery, and that way if the artery is carrying oxygenated blood or oxygen rich blood, that means pulmonary artery has to carry deoxygenated blood. You don't have to remember, you don't have to learn it, right? Let us simplify. Now this pulmonary artery is made up of two words here, pulmo and artery. Artery, you're already familiar with the meaning. Pulmo comes from the Latin origin, which means lung, right? So this is the artery. Pulmonary artery is the artery that is taking the blood away from the heart to the lungs, right? It fits the definition, away from the heart towards any organ, and here any organ is lung because pulmo in Latin means lung, right? So if the blood is moving away from the heart towards the lungs, that means it is deoxygenated. And why it is moving to the lungs? So that oxygenation can happen, so that the blood can be made oxygen rich here by the exchange of gases at alveoli. Then another properties are the pulmonary artery, or in fact arteries in general, they have thick and elastic muscular walls. Now why so? Again, you do not have to remember it or learn it or mug it up, right? You can reason it here. The blood, because it's coming from heart, therefore, it will be under great pressure because heart is the pumping organ. It pumps blood towards various organs, right? So it has to. Likewise, it need not have any valves because the blood is already under great pressure. Its flow need not to be monitored by the valves. Hence, it does not have valves. Likewise, let us define veins. Veins as the vessels which carries blood away from an organ towards the heart. So like we had away from the heart as the keyword for artery, pulmonary, so on contrary veins, we have towards the heart. So if the blood is moving towards the heart and coming from the organ, that means it naturally would have to be deoxygenated or carbon dioxide rich blood. Now, again looking at the exception, although let's break it down, pulmonary vein means vein, and pulmo again means lung, as we have already seen here, right? So from lungs to hearts. So as we have defined, away from an organ, here the specific organ is lungs. So if the blood is coming from the lungs and it's being received by the heart, that means the oxygenation has already happened. Now it is the oxygenated blood that is returning to the heart. So pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood, right? Whereas veins carry deoxygenated blood. But you do not have to learn so many definitions if you know how to reason it. Then likewise, as we have discussed the properties of arteries, let's discuss the properties of veins as well. They have thin muscular walls. Now because the blood is coming from the organs, so it is flowing uniformly. It is not under pressure because it is coming from the organ, not from the heart. So it is flowing uniformly, but what has to be monitored is its uniform direction or moving in one direction. That is where comes the role of valves. So they are present to prevent the backflow of deoxygenated blood because we cannot afford the deoxygenated blood or the carbon dioxide rich blood to go back to the tissues again. So that was the artery and veins. Which definition you should be referring so that you can understand and you do not have to learn it up or mug it up. Then these arteries, they further branch into arterioles, Then these arterioles would terminate into capillaries where the exchange happens. So we can say the capillaries are the site of exchange. Now what gets exchanged here? If these are the tissue cells, oxygen diffuses out. Glucose and amino acids, the building blocks that have already been converted by the digestive system, they will move out of the capillaries for the tissue cells. And what goes into the capillaries? The carbon dioxide, urea and other metabolic wastes. That goes inside, that diffuses inside. Again, diffusion, that is the transfer of substances from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Hence, oxygen here, carbon dioxide inside the capillaries. Then these capillaries unite to form venules, and the venules ultimately form the veins, and then vena cava. Superior and inferior vena cava. So that was all about the blood vessels, artery, veins, and of course the capillaries. I hope now you know which definition you need to learn, not learn, but reason, and you can understand. Thank you.